Good morning, and welcome to Barbaras Bulletin. I'm your host, Barbara. We're glad you're joining us today for a thoughtful and in-depth look at the stories shaping our world. As we begin, let's turn our attention to Nigeria, where a disturbing trend of violence has resurfaced in the northeast region. The Islamist militant group Boko Haram and its offshoot, Islamic State West Africa Province, have been wreaking havoc in the area, leaving a trail of death and destruction in their wake. According to reports from reputable sources such as the Straits Times and local residents, at least 22 people were killed, and several others wounded in two separate attacks over the weekend. These incidents are the latest in a long-running insurgency that has plagued Nigeria's northeast, causing immense suffering for the civilian population. The first attack occurred in Borno State, where suspected militants ambushed and killed 10 civilians and 2 security officials on Saturday. 2 others were injured in the attack. In neighboring Adamawa State, suspected Boko Haram militants launched another assault, killing 10 people and wounding several others in an attack against Kopere village. These attacks come on the heels of a warning from Borno's governor that Boko Haram had renewed its campaign of violence, reversing previous gains made by security forces. The situation is further complicated by the withdrawal of Niger from a multinational coalition aimed at combating the jihadists, which has raised concerns about intelligence sharing and the capacity to keep these groups at bay. As we try to make sense of this complex and tragic situation, it's essential to consider the human cost of this conflict. Thousands of displaced households, sent back to their villages under a resettlement scheme, may now be under threat. The International Crisis Group has warned that this hasty process is endangering lives, putting people closer to the fighting, and cutting them off from much-needed support. As we delve deeper into this story, it's crucial to approach it with empathy and understanding, recognizing the nuances and challenges involved. We must also acknowledge the efforts of those working tirelessly to bring peace and stability to the region, including the Nigerian government, security forces, and humanitarian organizations. We'll continue to follow this developing story and provide updates as more information becomes available. For now, let's take a moment to reflect on the lives lost and the families affected by these senseless acts of violence. We'll be right back with more of today's top news on Barbaras Bulletin. Welcome back to Barbaras Bulletin. We're halfway through our show today, and I'm excited to dive into our middle segment, where we'll be discussing the latest developments in German politics. As you may know, Germany has been navigating a complex political landscape, and recent events have shed some light on the country's future leadership. According to reports, Chancellor-in-Waiting Friedrich Merz has announced his first appointments, naming utility executive Katharina Reiche as his likely economy minister and foreign policy expert Johann Wadephul as foreign minister. This move comes after Merz's CDU-CSU conservatives clinched a coalition deal with the center-left Social Democrats earlier this month. The new government aims to revive growth in Europe's largest economy, which has been threatened by a global trade war sparked by U.S. President Donald Trump's import tariffs. Additionally, the coalition plans to ramp up defense spending amid strains in the transatlantic NATO alliance. Merz hopes to avoid the infighting that plagued his predecessor, Olaf Scholz's government, and prove more decisive in addressing the country's challenges. It's worth noting that the coalition deal has allocated key ministries to both parties, with the Christian Democrats securing the economy and foreign ministries, while the Social Democrats will oversee defense and finance. The new government also plans to cut taxes for middle and lower-income Germans, reduce corporate tax and lower energy prices, among other initiatives. Some industry associations have praised Reiche's appointment, citing her experience in the sector, while others have raised concerns about the potential impact of the new government's policies on various industries. Meanwhile, analysts suggest that Merz's leadership style and the coalition's composition could lead to a more coherent foreign policy approach, which might be welcomed by Germany's international partners. As we continue to monitor developments in German politics, it's essential to consider the diverse perspectives and potential implications of these changes. We'll keep a close eye on how the new government navigates the complex challenges facing the country and the European Union as a whole. Stay tuned for our final story of the day, right here on Barbaras Bulletin. Welcome back to Barbaras Bulletin. As we wrap up today's show, I'd like to bring your attention to a fascinating story that's been making headlines in Japan. You might have heard about the university student who was rescued not once, but twice from Mount Fuji within the span of just 1 week. According to reports, the 27-year-old Chinese national, who lives in Japan, initially got into trouble while climbing the mountain outside of its official hiking season. He was airlifted to safety by a helicopter, but what's astonishing is that he decided to return to the mountain, just days later, to retrieve his mobile phone. Yes, you heard that right, his mobile phone. It's not clear if he managed to find the device, but what we do know is that he had to be rescued again after suffering from altitude sickness. Now, I'm not here to judge, but it does raise some questions about the importance of safety precautions and respecting the power of nature. Mount Fuji, as you may know, is an active volcano and a popular hiking destination, attracting thousands of visitors every year. While it's understandable that people want to take on the challenge of climbing this iconic mountain, it's crucial to remember that safety should always come first. In fact, Japanese authorities have been warning against off-season climbs due to harsh weather conditions and the risk of accidents. They've even implemented measures such as capping daily visitor numbers and introducing a hiking fee to reduce overcrowding and promote responsible tourism. So, what can we take away from this story? Perhaps it's a reminder that our actions have consequences, and sometimes it's better to prioritize caution over convenience or material possessions. On the other hand, one could argue that the student's determination to retrieve his phone is a testament to human resilience and adaptability. Whatever your perspective may be, it's essential to approach this story with empathy and understanding. After all, we've all made mistakes or taken risks at some point in our lives, and it's how we learn from them that matters. That's all for today's Barbaras Bulletin. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, stay engaged.